Would you prefer to have all of your consoles, or do you mind to be like both of your No, that's okay. Further ado, I have participants.
Some government truly believes that all jobs should not be gender specific, and that all jobs are supposed to be balanced, meaning that jobs should not be people should not have the stereotype that certain jobs should be for certain genders only. For example, engineering or culinary arts or home economics. We believe that on the outside, we believe that the problem with status quo right now is that in predominantly male universities, women are reluctant to enter because of the fact that these universities in itself are predominantly male, and women don't really see themselves as suited to those kinds of careers or those kinds of jobs, Mr. Speaker. Now, we believe that the motion already has to suit two things. We believe that firstly is that these the choosing of these individuals who will enter these universities is already merit-based, and secondly is that these women still have a choice, and the government does not force them to enter these universities. Firstly, our mechanism is that we believe that on the outside, what we mean by financially incentivizing women to enter male-predominant university faculties means that we will subsidize them, or just simply giving them money to incentivize them or to motivate them to enter these predominantly male universities, for example, engineering or architecture. We believe that on the outside, we are also okay with the idea of incentivizing male students to enter predominantly female universities such as home economics or other universities. But that's not the debate right here. All right. Before I move on to my argument, yes.
Does the speaker want to give aid based on need or based on active discrimination of certain groups?
What?
Does the speaker want to give aid based on need or active discrimination of certain groups?
We believe that on the outside, the problem right here, problem in status quo, is that these women are not feel that because of the stereotype by the general public that men are supposed to be engineers, or men are supposed to be architects, and women are supposed to do home economics, or women are supposed to enter culinary arts, is the sole reason why women are reluctant to enter these kinds of universities, and where women are reluctant to enter, and thus we believe that it's a waste of potential talent towards those careers, or towards those jobs as a speaker. Now we believe that our stance is simple, and that we believe that our stance is to prove to you why financially incentivizing women to enter these universities is justified. Moving on to my first argument, which is why financial incentive is justified. We believe that the state, under the first level, why the state has a role to interfere for social good. We believe that on the outside, the sole reason, the sole purpose of the state is to cater towards the people and to cater towards the best interests of the people. In this context, we believe that the state has a role to subsidize and to motivate or to incentivize women to enter these predominantly male universities, so that you can eradicate the stereotypes of male students are the only ones that are suitable to be engineers, or suitable to be architects. On the outside, we believe that these kinds of stereotypes are not good. Why so? Because we believe that on the outside, stereotypes, when these stereotypes are there, women feel as if they aren't suited towards these jobs, and women feel that they are just going to waste of it's just a waste of money if they enter these universities and they study engineering or study architecture. We believe that we don't want that, because we believe these women have potential talent that can be used to further improve those kinds of careers and those kinds of universities. We believe that on the outside, these other kinds of financial incentive or other kinds of affirmative action is already done in the status quo. For example, where the government financially incentivizes women to not abort, or other affirmative actions such as quotas for industries that are predominantly male, where these quotas have to be filled. And we believe those kinds of affirmative action is good in breaking or eradicating these stereotypes of gender specific careers. Before I move on to my next level, yes.
Do you not believe that under your proposal, this would actually be sending across the message that these women are getting in not because of their merits, but rather because they have preferential treatment?
No, we believe that does not happen, because on the outside we already told you that the process for entering these universities is already based on merit, and secondly, we believe that because these women themselves are able, for seeing that these women enter because of their merit, we believe that their achievements will be the proof that they enter not because of preferential treatment, but because they have potential to be engineers or architects. Moving on to the second level, which is the efficiency. We believe that on the outside, when the reason that women don't want to enter it is because they are reluctant, and they think that it's a waste of money. When we subsidize, or when we give them money to enter these universities, we believe that they will feel motivated, and they will feel incentivized to enter these universities. Why? Firstly, we believe that when the government themselves subsidize or give money towards these women to enter these universities, we believe that that's a form of message towards these women that the government wants them to enter these universities, and it's okay to go into these kinds of careers or these kinds of jobs. We believe, and secondly, we believe that the second reason is that money talks. We believe that when anything that the government wants, the government will pay people to do things, and we believe that when people are paid, they are further incentivized and further motivated to enter these universities. And therefore, we believe that, in the future, when these universities are balanced and these universities are not predominantly male, we believe that this will eradicate the stereotypes. Moving on to the second argument, how it will eradicate the stereotypes. We believe that on the outside, when when these women enter these universities, and when these women, there will be more women that enter these kinds of universities and that become successful engineers or successful architects. We believe that people will not have the idea, will not have the mindset anymore that these jobs are only suited for males, and these jobs that when women enter these jobs, they are not suited. We believe that those kinds of stereotypes or those kinds of mindsets will not be there anymore. With that, thank you.
Should financial incentivization be given on the basis of need or be given on the basis of active discrimination of certain social groups? Today, we, the side government, propose that we should not financially incentivize women to enter predominantly male faculties, as we believe that this policy will only be counterproductive to its aim. We, the opposition, concede to the fact that women are being prejudiced at the moment. They are being stereotyped by men to not take these subjects. However, we believe that there are other forms of policies which will be more beneficial to women at the moment. Therefore, we believe that we should remain with status quo, as they have currently made sure that many women have availability to such courses. In fact, according to statistically speaking, 10 years ago, only 5% of women entered such courses. Today, 25% of women enter such male-dominant courses, and the numbers are growing. Therefore, we do not see a real problem with incentivizing women to enter. So, what we, the opposition, came up with are three main questions. Number one, does this policy really marginalize the plight of women? Number two, if this policy continues, will the faculty truly accept them as being equal? And number three, how will this affect the wider society? Therefore, to number one, does this policy really marginalize the plight of women? We believe that this policy is counterproductive because this will only fuel the hatred that men have against women. Because at the end of the day, there's only limited amount of funds that governments or universities can give, and there are only a limited number of spaces which can accept people. And therefore, by financially incentivizing women to attend these courses, not only are they taking up the places of men, they are also taking up the funds, scholarships which they would receive. Therefore, due to this affirmative action, we are actively discriminating against men. We're actively discriminating against men for the sake of women when we believe in equality. Number two, on the second level of analysis, we the opposition believe that this will only cause emotional discourse between the man and women relationship in the university. Because men will see women as not equal, as the people who are the ones who essentially took their places, and will actively segregate this woman. Therefore, this policy, whose main aim was to try to reach equality between men and women in society, will be counterproductive, as this will only reinforce the patriarchal nature of society. Therefore, we want change, but we do not think that this policy will be the change, because this will not reduce the gender animosity between social groups in society, and this will only further escalate the problem that society has against women. Number two, we asked the question if this policy continues, will the faculty, will the professors accept them as equal people? And we said that the professors, teachers, peers, anyone will have already internalized stereotypical views about females, because most of the time professors are older than students, so they're not as modern and they're not as open to these new ideas. Therefore, if we see financial incentivization as a means to solve the gender stereotype views of society, we do not see this as an effective means because professors will not treat them equally. Therefore, there's still discrimination in society if we motivate these women to attend these courses. Because at the end of the day, professors will not see women as equal standards as men. And on a second level of analysis is whether they will succeed in the workforce. The site government said that they will succeed if they achieve a university degree. But did you know that currently at this rate, women are graduating from more university than men? So the amount of graduates each year we receive, there are more women than men. However, the question is, why is it that 80% of top CEO positions are held by men and only 20% are held by women, even though there are more women in the workforce? And the answer is that there's active discrimination in the wider society as a whole. Therefore, we do not believe that financial incentivization will help reduce discrimination in society, but it will only help this will be a redundant policy in society, as it may motivate women to attend universities. However, it does not help them achieve top positions in society. Therefore, this is once again counterproductive to the solution which we are trying to aim at, and it is to reduce discrimination of women in society. And number 3, how will this affect the wider society as a whole? How will the society react to this new policy? And we believe that wider society will be outraged, because this is also a form of gender discrimination, where we're discriminating against the man, because we're undermining man by excluding them. And the basis of society lies is meritocracy. That means that financial incentivization should be based on the talent and of the person receiving it. Therefore, someone has to work hard to receive it and not be part of a certain social group to receive it. And we dislike the fact that a particular social group is given more opportunity than others. Thus, we believe that this policy is absolutely unfair. And we believe that at the end of the day, for men to see women as equal, women must rightfully earn their places, and by paying the same fees as men, this will mean that they have the same status as men. This means that they have the capability to earn the same amount as men and pay the same school fees. And that's when we believe men will see women as an equal. Therefore, to summarize this debate, what we, the opposition, have proposed is that, have asked the government is that, will this policy really marginalize the position of women? Because we think that this policy will be counterproductive. Number 2, will the faculty treat them as equal students, or will there still be active discrimination throughout the faculty? And number 3, how will this affect the wider society as a whole? Will they be seen as an equal or merely as a handicap to men? Therefore, we, the opposition, are very proud to oppose. Thank you.
It was not long ago that states deemed their populations consisted of 50% citizens and 50% women. However, in the 21st century, we have seen significant change happening within how people view women, and we think that equal treatment has already been achieved. However, in occupational industries, we have yet to see this change, which is why, from side of proposition, we want this change to happen, and we want to create this change. Now, from leader of opposition, her speech has clearly misrepresented our policy, because she told us that we are basically just giving them money and asking them to enter devoid of all of their achievements, irrespective of whether they're good at engineering or architecture or not. We think that this is false, because the motion clearly reads, right? This House will financially incentivize women to enter into male-predominant university faculties. And if you know the procedure of how to enter university faculty, you would know that this is not affirmative action completely based on just by virtue of them being female. Because we think that entering university faculty does not have either does not have to be contingent upon your achievements at all, because you can just pay to enter university faculty in the first place, or B, even if it does require achievements, we think that there are lots of women who already have great achievements in the science stream for SPM, for example, but still choose to not join these forms of courses in the first place because of the pre-existing mindset, which means that they already qualify, but they choose not to enter because of the pre-existing mindset and because they believe that they're not suited because of the male predominance that already exists. And we think that that's bad. Sit down. We think that it's bad that women do not have an interest in this simply because society tells them that it's not for them, or simply because of the pre-existing mindsets of patriarchal superiority that exists. We want to change that. We want to maximize and utilize the potential talent that women have because they already have it, and we want that patriarchal superiority to come to an end. She told us that this is going to fuel she told us that this is not necessary because increase in the number of women inside these courses is already happening. Last time there was only like 5% of women inside these faculties, and now there's 25%. Yes, that was 10 years ago. And in 10 years, how much have we increased? How much has it increased? Only by 20%. We want to multiply it exponentially, that amount of women inside these particular courses. Hence, we are going to financially incentivize them. We don't think that there's any harm in accelerating the process in the first place. They told us that it's going to fuel male and female hatred, whereby women are constantly being discriminated, and that's only going to exacerbate and worsen it even more. First of all, we don't think that they're living in the same century as we are, because we think that even within the status quo, we don't think that male and female hatred within the engineering faculty is even existent in the first place, because we live in a world where individuals understand that the difference by gender does not influence your intellect or whatever. And because this argument was based on the misrepresentation of our policy, we think that's also false, because that's not what our policy promotes or does in the first place. She also told us that this is going to fuel male-female hatred because now they're going to take up the scholarships that men are supposed to receive instead of women. We think that this is wrong. Number one, why? Because we're not taking up scholarships that men are supposed to receive. We're just subsidizing women. We're just offering women subsidies. We think that if men were to be good enough to receive scholarships, we'll still give them anyway, right? That places in those universities should be determined by their achievements, if they really were based on achievements, or be based on how much financial capacity you have and how much you're willing to pay to actually enter that faculty in the first place. We don't think that this is going to fuel male and female hatred because we're not taking scholarships from them and giving them to women anyway. They told us, third, that professors are going to hate them because they're generally older and do not have a modern mindset. We think that this is illogical, Mr. Speaker, because once again, for professors especially, people who are educated, people who are educators, are the people who are exactly the people who do not have these particular mindsets, because they know that they have a role to educate people, and in that endeavor of education, respect has to be there. We don't think that just because they're older, they're going to naturally hate on their students just because they came in because the government sponsored them. What else they tell us? They told us that this isn't going to help them succeed because of the pre-existing mindset in society that women are bad. So how does that actually change under your side as well? Because under your side, you're basically, that pre-existing societal mindset still exists, and women still won't be able to succeed under your side as well. At the very least, we are increasing the number of women who are learning about engineering or architecture, and actually providing a larger possibility for them to succeed in the first place. We think that success is much more likely under our side than yours. Lastly, they told us that they have to rightfully earn their places. And we think that this is good, and we think that this is right. We think that they have to rightfully earn their places, and that rightfully earning their places is not only exclusive under their side, it's also under ours. Because this motion already assumes that this motion is about women who already have those achievements to enter engineering and architecture faculties, but choose not to because they're not interested in it. And the reason as to why they're not interested in it is because they do not want, because of the pre-existing mindset of patriarchal superiority within these industries in the first place. I'm going to be talking about two things, but before that, yes.
You stated that women do not choose to enter engineering because of their interests. However, how can you force a woman to enter engineering just because it's underrepresented by women?
Number one, the reason as to why they're not interested is because the mindset is that women should not be engineers, that only men should be engineers or architects. How are we going to create this interest? We think that we've already created this. We've already explained this in Prime Minister. We told you that financial incentive has always and is always going to be an efficient means to create that interest, to create that incentive within people. How? Number one, we think that the reason as to why women do not want to enter is because of the mindset, and because of that mindset, they think that it's a waste of money for them to actually invest in these courses anyway, because they know that once they come out, because they're women, people are not going to take them as engineers. Hence, if we provide them that money, it doesn't seem like a waste of money anymore. But number two, even if that's false and a load of crap, we think that money in itself talks, and when we want people to do something, we pay them. We pay our workers to wash our clothes. We pay people to work at McDonald's, and all of these things, all of this money motivates them to do things which they might not even want in the first place. And we think that not only are we going to create this interest, but that interest is going to not only are we going to create this interest in terms of finance, but we think that when women enter these faculties, they'll be interested in engineering per se. I'm going to explain to you why this creates common ground, why this common ground is good. We think that in the status quo, there is no common ground in terms of occupational capacity between women and men. Why is it so? Because the mindset is that men are engineers and architects, which require high intellect, and women are chefs and people who take culinary arts, which does not have a requirement of high intellect or creativity. So the mindset is that women are less greater than men when it comes to their mental capacity. And we think that this is bad because this also encourages discrimination in that particular sense. And because the financial incentive increases the number of women in male-predominant faculties, we think that this eradicates that mindset, and we think that this is good because this creates more common ground between men and women, and common ground has always been a reason for less discrimination, and we think that less discrimination is necessarily good for the fight for equal rights and equal treatment of women worldwide. With that, thank you.
The deputy leader of opposition started out by claiming that we were slowly making a push towards overall equality. And however, he does not believe that has been seen in occupational industries. Like my first speaker has clearly stated, there's been a 5 to 25% increase in the number of people who are in these kinds of universities, who are in these male-predominated universities. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a 5 times increase. If it increased by another 2 times, we will already have attained equality. We cannot possibly increase exponentially because by that point, we will be creating reverse inequality where men actually attain less positions than women do. Additionally, the second speaker stated that they choose not to enter because they believe that they are not suited for it. However, ladies and gentlemen, how on earth would the second speaker know the mindset of those women who chose not to? Let's think about it. For example, women are perfectly capable of making their own choices. Even if a woman is particularly good at science, she may not want to follow a science-related career. She may still have passions inside other things like cooking or teaching. And even though these are women-predominated fields, just because they are women-predominated fields doesn't mean that they are necessarily stuff that women do not want to do.
So,
Yes?
yeah, we're not forcing them to choose engineering and architecture. We're talking about the people who do not have that interest because of that pre-existing mindset. We get rid of that. Don't talk about other people, rebut our arguments.
They stated that they are talking about the people who do have that mindset. However, that people is a very small minority, and the majority of people still want to continue on and continue with these careers. And by imposing this, we are affecting the majority. We are affecting the people who actually want to do this and people who want to go on with that, because we are creating financial incentives for them to join careers which they may not necessarily want to do, which not necessarily forces but pressures them into following these careers. It pressures them into not choosing careers purely for themselves, but by pushing them to take careers where it is cheaper to join, careers where they are gaining these financial incentives and can then go on further and attain cheaper university prices, which will cause parents to pressure their female children to actually join these engineering options because it makes them have to pay less. And when you are taking a career for the rest of your life, it should be your own decision. You should have no external influence pressuring you or subsidizing you in one particular area to make you feel pressured into necessarily becoming an engineer or to necessarily becoming an architect. It should be from you, a decision should be your choice, and should not be decided by any government or NGO. Rejected. Now, additionally, the second speaker also stated that they're not discriminating against men because men can still work hard and attain merit and gain a scholarship, whereas all women simply get these financial subsidies for free. What this actually means is that they are putting women on this. Every single woman who is capable of entering this university, who's the same level of all the men who are entering this university, on the same level as those men who have scholarships, who have worked hard, who have attained merits which put them at the very top of 1% of the school and have actually deserved these financial subsidies. They are putting them on the same level, ladies and gentlemen, which means that men have to work so much harder to get what women do for free. So you have to accomplish, so let's say I accomplish so much and I become the best person in the whole university. I will attain a 25% scholarship, whereas these women just have to be good enough to enter the university and they will receive the same financial incentives. Now, additionally, they stated that money talks. And because money talks, women will now be more likely to join into these careers. However, this brings me on to my first substantive. Because money talks, people will be pressured into becoming engineers. And people will be thinking, oh yeah, it's better to be an engineer. I get it for cheaper. I should just become an engineer. And this creates a clear divide between women who choose not to pursue these kind of goals and between women who do. Because women who, for example, choose to pursue culinary arts will not be gaining the same financial incentives that women who choose to pursue engineering are, which implies that women who choose to pursue engineering are better than those who don't. And this creates a clear segregation between women themselves and creates clear discrimination between women, as it makes women believe that, oh my god, she gets to get all of this just because she wants to be an engineer while I don't, and it makes them seem like they are not on the same level, and it puts weaker emphasis on these kinds of jobs that are clearly now being predominated by women, which creates girl-on-girl segregation and maintains discord between women as they are now being seen as different and being seen as unequal. Now, I'd like to let you know why my first speaker points still stands. My first speaker said that it creates discord between men and women in society as women are now being given financial incentives. The opposition attempted to rebut this by stating that there are no financial incentives as men can now work harder to attain scholarships. However, we have clearly now proved that those men who do work harder is creating a divide because men have to be at their very best level in order to attain the same level that every single woman gets. My first speaker also stated that it doesn't help reduce the wider discrimination in society, which still hasn't been tackled, as it does not explain how people who are not part of the education system will still choose not to employ women as engineers, and there will still be a lack of female engineers in the working population, even though they may now attain greater equality inside universities. And my first speaker has also stated that financial incentivization should be based on the talent of people and what they actually deserve, and we should not create a divide and we should not create a segregation between men and women because it is simply not fair. And with that, I am proud to oppose.
We think that when it comes to incentivizing women to enter faculties, it does not mean that we are suddenly infringing the rights of men and limiting their freedom to enter that particular facility in the first place. Right? We are still giving the freedom for men to choose or to opt into that faculty. We think there is no problem when it comes to men choosing to opt or choosing that particular field in the first place. Right? Basically, I have a few issues. Issues number one in regards of choice. Issue number two, will the policy help in reducing discrimination? Issue number three, is this particular incentive even necessary in the first place? And the last issue, will this help women in pursuing their career in that particular faculty? Moving on to the first issue, is this policy infringes the choice of women in the first place? Number one, opposition tried to tell you how this policy will somehow hamper the choice of women because it will suddenly hamper the choice of men. It will suddenly hamper the choice of women because somehow women will feel that they have to, anyways, they have to enter that particular faculty in the first place. The response from our side has already been given, which negates this particular idea. When it comes to our case, we have already told you how this is never a force for women to enter any faculty when that government wants to incentivize them to opt into. We think that when it comes to our policy, we always open up, we always give them a choice to opt, whether or not to opt into that the faculty of architecture of engineering. If you want to actually opt into this faculty, you get money, but if you choose other faculty, you don't get money, but it's okay, just choose your own career. We don't think that it creates such a big problem over there. Secondly, opposition tried to also told you how choices of women should never be influenced by outside interest or outside trigger factor or whatever. Three levels of responses. Number one, we think that by the time we create an incentive for women to enter a particular faculty, that doesn't mean that they will become irrational in making decisions. In the end of the day, it's up for them to choose. In the end of the day, they know that whether or not that faculty is suitable for their future career that they really want to pursue in the first place. Right? We think that if it suits your career, your future, your inspired career, you can always choose to opt into that particular faculty. We don't think that influence makes you irrational. Secondly, we think that if influence is really such a big problem, would their side ban scholarship to begin with, right? Because when you are talking about scholarship, it's always be based on a particular stream, a particular specific stream based on the favor of the company. For example, scholarship is given specifically for science stream or other particular streams in the first place, right? If this can create influence, would their side ban this scholarship in the first place, right? But on last level of response, we think that even if these women were to be influenced by the interest or the trigger factor or the incentive that we give to them in their day, we think that it's always okay. Because in the end of the day, they always feel happy with their choices they make to enter this particular faculty in the end of the day. We think that there's no problem for them to pursue their future career. But before we go on to the second issue, yours.
Don't you think that this is giving women an additional advantage when they go to university, and this will cause men to feel anger towards them?
Okay, exactly under my second issue. Will the policy help in reducing discrimination either towards men or women? Opposition tried to bring up the idea how when we give incentive to women, suddenly men will feel discriminated, men will feel reluctant to enter the faculty or the university in the first place. Two responses. Number one, no, men would never feel discriminated because we think that we are only helping women. And helping women does not mean that we discriminate men, because we are not having any penalty for men. We are not setting any maximum quota for men from entering that particular specific faculty. The same way when we give welfare support to poor people, when we give welfare support, when we give money to poor people, it does not mean that we are not okay with people being rich. It does not mean that we are discriminating the rich people. It works the same way over there. Just because we help women, it does not mean that the other gender is discriminated by the government. Second response, we also don't think that incentivizing women will make men feel discriminated, because when we are talking about predominantly male faculties, it means that men are already used to entering this faculty and pursue their career according to this particular field in the first place. And when they are used to it, why would they feel discriminated just because women are being incentivized or are being paid to enter those faculties in the first place? Because we think that no, it's usual for men to enter faculties of engineering or architecture. We don't think that they will feel discriminated just because they see some women enter this faculty. Moving on to the third issue, but for that, any last words? No. The third issue, this is incentivizing women necessary to begin with, right? Opposition tried to tell you how, no, this is not necessary to begin with because we can see how the rate of women entering faculties dominated by men are actually increasing, where from 5% has already went up to 15%. The response is this. We think that when it comes to giving incentive, when it comes to increasing the rate of women, why is it wrong for us to speed up this form of increase? Why is it wrong for us to actually make other women realize that it's not wrong for them to enter predominantly male faculties? Because when we talk about 25%, it's just 25%. Right? A lot of more women outside of the faculty are feeling reluctant to enter this faculty. Even though they qualify to enter it, we think that these are the women that we have to also change their mindset, making them feel suitable and comfortable to enter this particular faculty. But on the last issue, will this help women in pursuing their future career or their desired job? Opposition tried to tell you how no, this will not help women in actually achieving their success because there's always no guarantee in succeeding or having a job. A few levels of responses. Number one, no, we don't think that it will happen like that because we already set up in a context where these women already qualify for that particular faculty, meaning to say that there's always a higher possibility of them succeeding in the architecture or engineering faculty because they already have the basics from their previous institution. Number two, when we are talking about guarantee, it does not only available in men. Men can also fail in that particular faculty just because of women wanting to pursue the career of previously dominated by men. We don't think that we think that guarantee will always exist because not only women can fail, men can also drop their studies and fail also. Right? Based on these four issues, we think that side of government takes this good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end goal of our opposition here, the fundamental stance and the fundamental goal of our side is to reduce is similar to the goal of the government side. It is to reduce occupational inequality that exists in today's society. Now, we've analyzed through this very principle what causes this occupational inequality. Now, my two previous speakers have brought up the fact that the underlying problem behind it comes down to three main issues. One, there is a prevalent gender discrimination that occurs in today's society. A man will think that will just automatically believe that that they shouldn't give this woman a role. They shouldn't admit this. They shouldn't give this woman a place in the university because she is less capable. And that also has a knock-on effect on the women, because the second reason to this occupational inequality is the fact that women themselves don't believe that they are capable of taking on these more intellectual jobs. And the third issue that comes that we want to solve here is that there is a hatred for women because they believe and there's a misogyny because they believe that women are nowadays getting more rights than men. Now, we have came up with a counter proposal that putting women on the same level and giving them equality of opportunity is actually the best way to go about this. By putting, by kind of in a sense, giving handicap benefits to women, giving them more opportunity to women, that you're actually somehow going to solve these three problems of: one, gender discrimination; two, the belief that women themselves are incapable; and that three, spitefulness of men towards women. Now, I'm going to go on to the main underlying questions and clash points of this debate. So first clash point is, will their proposal actually solve occupational inequality, which I stated was caused by the underlying social stereotypes and perceptions and beliefs. Now, it is they state. Now, I would like to point out a contradiction that the side government made out throughout this entire debate. First of all, they denied, and the second speaker denied in the job market that there was a discrimination between when employing male and female workers. He said that no. People understand that women are just as capable as men for employing in employment, right? However, they then went on to say that, oh no, the cause of the unequal numbers in the job market is due to the belief that women don't have the actual intellectual capacity to undertake these highly intellectual jobs, which that's a blatant contradiction right there. Because obviously, if this belief is prevalent, this actually ends up causing the discrimination in the workplace. And that is the very reason why, as my first speaker stated, there are fewer women taking on these higher position roles. And now, in further elaboration to what my first speaker said, on the question of whether or not there is gender discrimination within the workplace, well, we've seen it countless times that that even on the media, there's been on the news countless television shows where we have taken men and women and talked on gender divide, and men have gone into expressing their opinion that women are now, that this feminist movement is now is kind of unfair and unjust on the male population. You have there's this ongoing joke about feminists now. There's this stereotype that feminists are feminazis and they want to be so much better than women. And this is caused by this very proposal. I mean, their very proposal will cause an escalation of this very problem, because it will essentially contribute to the belief that women are succeeding and that women are flourishing simply because they are given preferential treatment. Now, a question that they brought up was that, is it truly preferential treatment? That actually it has nothing to do with merit, because they already get their place in the university before they get the financial incentive. But however, think about the case where a male is better, gets better grades and has a better is better than a woman, right? And the thing is, a woman is more likely to get a scholarship, even though she's of lesser merit than that man. In that sense, that is inequality of opportunity, and that is a reason for men to be spiteful against women. And so, at the end of the day, we believe that their proposal is, by essence, very counterproductive to the movement necessary we need in society. Summarizing their case, my team's case, we have talked about how currently
in this current situation, what we need isn't an incentive for women to go into university and to pursue those careers. Because currently there is a upward trend in the amount of women going into engineering and agriculture. However, what the underlying problem that we need to solve is not trying to persuade women to go into these fields in the first place. And then on top of that, doing so merely by financial incentive rather than actual interest in it. What we need to do is tackle the underlying issue of gender discrimination. And we believe that instead of giving women this financial incentive, we should actually be focusing on empowering women and making them also believe that engineering is an interesting field to have. And therefore, we are proud to oppose. Thank you very much.
Today in this debate, we, the opposition, would like to identify the three main clash points of the debate. The first clash point is that whether this policy will benefit women. Our second clash point was whether this will correct society's perception of gender discrimination. And the third main clash point is whether this proposal will solve occupational mobility throughout society. So our first main clash point is that government stated that this will motivate women to choose this course, as it will, and it will also correct the mindset of women that they are okay to choose this course, and will correct the gender discrimination in society. However, we said no. We said no because firstly, we believe that this policy is in fact counterproductive to this aim, because firstly, we stated that it will fuel hatred men have against women, thus conditioning men to believe that women are inferior to them. And secondly, we said that it will cause emotional discourse between men and women, thus they will actively segregate themselves away from women, thus reinforcing the patriarchal nature of society. Therefore, we stated that it will not solve the problem. And on our second response, we also said that this particular policy will undermine the basic fundamental value of society, which is meritocracy, thus being very unfair to men, because women have an additional advantage to them. Because we believe in society, only when you have talent and you work hard for it, you should have success, and there should be no other advantage available. Number two, for the second main clash point, it was whether this policy will correct gender discrimination in society. And they said, and some governments say, yes, they're more likely to correct gender discrimination because they're more likely to be an architect, they're more likely to be an engineer, and that the belief that women do not have intellectual capacity will sink down to the bottom. However, we said no. We said that our first response was that number one, that the current mindset in society is very difficult to change, and it cannot be changed merely from a simple policy such as giving women additional funds in society. Because at the end of the day, men will still see women's status as being inferior to them. And number two, our second response to that argument was that it will not change the underlying perceptions of the faculty, and that is because they've already been conditioned with this mindset when they were born, and it's very difficult to change that condition. Therefore, moving on to our third main clash point is that whether this proposal will solve occupational mobility. And they said yes, it will solve it because women will be able to be engineers, will be able to be architects. However, we said no, because realistically speaking, we do not believe that university education is a good criteria for success. And we gave the example that there are more women graduates than men, but still less women have the position. And number two, 80% of women still hold top positions in society. And therefore, we believe that their main arguments, the main clash points to the debate, our arguments still stand, as we are very proud, as we have provided two responses to their main clash points of the debate. Thus, we believe that our arguments still stand throughout the debate, and we're very proud to oppose. Thank you.
There are two ineluctable realities the side of opposition tried to run away from in this debate. The first one is that their side does not offer anything new to help women in occupational industries to gain that equal treatment and that equal number of job opportunities. But number two is also the reality that they are side opposition and we are side proposition. There are three issues in this debate. First of all, what is this policy principally justified? Number two, will this policy reduce discrimination across the board? And number three, will women be more likely to succeed under our policy? But first, opposition whip accused us of contradicting ourselves by saying that people understand in the job market that a man is just as capable as a woman is, but at the same time there is an unequal number of jobs because there is a pre-existing mindset of patriarchal superiority. For first, we did not say this. But number two, even if we did say this, we don't think that this is a contradiction. Because yes, in the job market, when employing a person, of course, people understand that a man is as capable just as a woman. But the reason as to why there is an unequal number of jobs in the job market when it comes to engineers, where there are more men than women, is because that women naturally do not have the interest or desire to become an engineer in the first place. But in reality, employers do understand that a man is just as capable as women. We do not contradict ourselves. So firstly, is our policy principally justified? This is something which they chose to ignore, Mr. Speaker, because we are speaking in the context of the government. And in our Prime Minister's speech, we already told you why this was principally justified. Now, we told you the aims of the government within this particular instance. We told you that the aim of the state is to create that equal treatment between men and women inside these occupational industries. And so given the fact that that does not exist within status quo and how status quo does not create that, the government has to take a step in order to try and forward those values, telling people that that is what they want. And that is exactly what we are doing right now. We are financially incentivizing women, we are supporting them to get to enter these industries, and which is why we think that the government has a right to forward these values irrespective of the efficiency in the first place. And we had no response to this. But secondly, reason as to why it's principally just is because the reason as to why there is that male predominance in the first place, the reason as to why there is an unequal number of jobs is because the male predominance has get rid of the interest within women to become engineers and architects in the first place. Hence, because it's not purely out of their choice, because it's the influence of a male predominant mindset, we think that we have to provide a counter influence to make them interested in these things in the first place. And that's exactly what we provided you, a counter influence to make them interested in these fields. We told you and they told us that this is not actually solving the problem because we're not tackling the problem at its core. We're not educating women, or we're not tackling gender discrimination. We don't think that the only thing that we're doing is financial incentive, Mr. Speaker, because we are still going to be in line with all the previous efforts to get rid of gender discrimination, coupled with our new policy. We think that we're better than them in that sense because we have an additional policy in mind. Secondly, will it actually reduce discrimination? They told you no, because now men are going to hate women. We give you many, many reasons as to why men are not going to hate women. Number one, these are not scholarships. These are subsidies just because they are women who qualify. Scholarships are given purely based on merit, and if men really were good, then if men really were good, then the determining factor in providing that scholarship would not be what gender you are. It's basically how good you are in the first place. Because these are not scholarships we're talking about. These are not comparative between men and women. We're not taking away any spots from men in the first place. And we don't think that women are going to enter here just because they're women. We told you from the very first speaker that we're only going to offer these subsidies to women who qualify for a place in that university. And we think that because of all these reasons, Mr. Speaker, side of proposition definitely takes its debate.
silakan. Hah?
My name is Coach. Should I write down? Q&A. SHI. I think that since I the reason why I think the question because they do say points, but some points they do make explain. They do not say why is this. They say points like is equal achievement has been achieved. They say why is equal achievement has been achieved. And probably he didn't even remarks points. He gave points just give a points where he really remarks what the proposal I say.
Opposition, they said a few things that were kind of untrue. Like, for one, they said women have an advantage because you got the incentive when you join the university faculty. So, but the government says there's just an incentive for people to qualify. I feel that the opposition is wrong. They also think that women get all this for free while men has to work for it, but they don't know that these things are not really qualified.
they're not taking scholarships. I agree with you, they're not taking scholarships from very low. The argument about the fact that since there's a limited pool of funding to take it from, means that this means that there are opportunities for scholarships for many people as well. But I think the other point was that whether or not it decreases not the point which is easier for women to enter because they have financial incentives, right? So if they enter to get them, for example, they have to pay less. So there are less barriers to entry for women, means that there's an equality of opportunity on that. But yeah, this is the way to benefit everybody. Okay, Okay, I thought it was an Afro state, I didn't think it was exceptional, but I didn't think it was I came to debate by close run to side opposition. This is why. First, I think one is in terms of categorization. I thought that you kind of allowed side opposition to be categorized as massive purpose. I don't think this is something. So it seems that when it's one, there may be a lot. Seems like the worst case scenario of reform is still there, but we're still making a lot of progress. So I know technically that would be problematic for you to let that slide. Apart from that, with argumentation, a couple of things I thought the government did do that made really very close. One, that more women will definitely join as a result of this policy, which means I don't know finances, why motivation will happen, why it's required to incentivize, even if people have different mindsets, why it's not an external factor for them to join stuff like that. The second thing that the government did prove was, but then it was wrong, was that like, this will allow more opportunity for some achievements for women to happen, which will mean that like, that can be looked at positively once women have achievements within these particular fields, right? But those were two things that I would say. What I thought was problematic was that when it came to the issue of, say, when more women join and stuff like that, I did feel that opposition did bring out the argument that just because you're saying that the motivating factor is not necessarily a good thing. A lot of women will be financially pressured into doing those things. The response I thought was, oh, but like lifestyle choices and stuff like that, like people can join whatever they want, and so didn't really deal with the nuanced argument that often it is the parents who decide where you grew up, parental pressure will be there for women. So the conclusion to that point was you're creating a situation where it's difficult for people to follow their passions because of financial factors. I thought it was legit. I thought there was some responsibility to my speech, but I also willing to consider that because we talk about the equalization of factors. I thought it was really good. But even then, I didn't think that it was solid enough, but it was a direction of response to the argument that how parents will not be present. People get more restrictions.
You guys are done debating, right? The debate is done.